Yo, we're back. I have never watched a single movie from the Quiet Place series, and today, as a horror noob, I'll be checking out The Quiet Place, the complete story and timeline explained. Now, the whole concept of The Quiet Place is very interesting, so we're gonna check this out. Never watched a single movie. Let's do it.
Out in the depths of space was a harsh, lightless world without a star, inhabited by death angels. These monsters...
Hello? What is that?
Without a star, inhabited by death angels.
Brother,
These monsters act entirely on animal impulses, guiding themselves through echolocation and brutally slaughtering anything that made a noise. To facilitate this lifestyle, Death Angel heads are composed almost entirely of cascading ears, which allow them to hear even the slightest sound from miles away. This sensitivity is why they feel the need to attack so
you telling me if I do, they're coming to get me? If I do this, they coming to get me? Oh, nah, fam. I couldn't do it. I would just kill. I can't say that. I would just get rid of myself, bro. There's no way. I'm not living like that, bro. I legit couldn't get up from this chair without making no noise. I couldn't do it.
Any noise is amplified to them, and higher frequencies can even be painful, so eliminating anything and everything that made a sound could allow them to live more pain-free lives. At the same time, their entire bodies are coated in indestructible armor that allows them to survive any external attack. This protection was so effective that when their homeworld exploded, all of the Death Angels survived. They're some superhuman. Fam. Yeah, I couldn't do it. They're like indestructible. You telling me they planted and exploded and they're still alive? I gotta stop pausing. This is a long video, but my God. Clutched to the clusters of rock and debris which burst from their planet and were cast into space. But again, neither the heat from the exploding planet nor the coldness of space would kill them. And that brings us to June 8th of 2020, a day where the Earth stood still for a moment of silence which would never again be allowed to lift. But before that, life was normal. There were news reports of a bomb going off in Shanghai, but outside of that, it was a day like any other. Lee Abbott stops at a corner store for some snacks and then walks to his son Marcus's baseball game. There he finds him with his wife Evelyn pushing their toddler Beau on the swings before sitting in the crowd with their deaf daughter Reagan. Also in attendance was a family friend, Emmett, who was watching his own son.
Damn, being deaf during this must be tough. I gotta add as soon as I pause the video. Anyway, let me finish this up. Being deaf must be tough too, because if you deaf, you don't know how much sound you making, so you don't know what you do. What? Man, what? So you if you're deaf, you don't know what you're doing. So you can get up, you can make a little creak and you wouldn't even know. Next thing you know, there's a dude knocking at your door. That's insane.
Whilst the two families talk, Lee teaches Emmett how to sign to the kids that they need to dive. It was a perfect, all-American day. Elsewhere on the outskirts of New York, a terminally ill cancer patient named Sam sat in a group therapy session at her hospice. She was told she'd only have 1 to 2 years left to live, but it had already been past that. Thus, she knew she was on borrowed time, just waiting for the inevitable. There was just one thing left that she wished she could experience before she died, and that was to relive her childhood with her late father. She simply wants pizza from Harlem, and so she's convinced to go to a marionette show with the hospice nurse and patients as long as they stop off for pizza on the way back. That would prove to be a problem, however, as during the show, asteroid fragments from the Death Angel planet had reached us, splitting up as they entered our atmosphere, with major clusters landing in Shanghai, New York, and Mexico. Nonetheless, Sam...
How convenient. Some of the most biggest places on the earth, bro. The biggest places, like they couldn't have landed like Wyoming. They landed in New York. Great. They couldn't have landed in North Dakota, South Dakota.
Leaves the theatre as it comes to an end whilst Marcus steps up to bat. It was a moment of happiness for both, as Marcus prepares to take his shot whilst Sam is finally gonna get her pizza. But everything begins to go wrong when Emmett's radio loses signal, and likewise with the nurse's phone, who had been told by the hospice to return immediately with his patients as a warning had been put out. However, it was too late. Tons of meteors fall from the sky, with one landing right behind Sam's bus, whilst whilst another lands on the other side of Millbrook. Evelyn drives with Bo and Marcus, but Reagan chooses to ride home with her father instead. On the way back to the car, they see Emmett and agree to share any information they have about what on earth is going on. Elsewhere, a police officer named Ronnie arrives and speaks to Lee, explaining that EMS and firefighters are headed to the site where the meteor landed. However, he pulled up with his sirens blaring. And so this loud noise draws in a death angel, and in the blink of an eye it crashes through the police car.
That scared the fuck out of me. There's not even no audio from this, bro. He's just talking, and why that still scare me? Nah, see, look, I couldn't do it, bro. Hey, shout out to, actually, I don't know why, they're not real. I'm finna say shout out to all the people who living in the quiet place. That's not a real. Hey, y'all think there's actually alternate timeline? Y'all think in an alternate timeline, someone's out there actually living in a quiet place? Shout out to you, bro. You strong is somewhere out there. You strong.
Flipping it over with seemingly no effort. These monsters were already near perfect killing machines, but on Earth they were even stronger. You see, their homeworld was much larger and more dense than Earth is, so on our lower gravity they effectively have super strength and can run up to 500 kilometers per hour. That's about 300 freedom units, making them the fastest and deadliest predator on the planet. Seeing this monster, Lee rushes back to his car to calm Regan down and assure her that things will be okay. Meanwhile, Evelyn's drive isn't going much better. Traffic is jammed up in all the commotion, and we know that there's always going to be that one impatient asshole blaring his horn in that situation. And so, just as the police siren did, this horn calls in the attention of another death angel, with it destroying that vehicle before jumping towards Evelyn's. Luckily, she's able to get away with just a crack.
Okay, but question though, how come he isn't fucking her shit up? Because I know that car is not silent. Brother, that car should be on. See, I'm already finding loopholes. Now let me stop. There must be something I don't know.
Windshield as she swerves through oncoming traffic to escape. But this freedom is very short-lived. As she drives ahead, a bus comes flying towards her down the road, forcing her to drive backwards, with yet another death angel crawling out from inside. Reagan and Lee see this, with Reagan rushing out of the car to check on her mother and brother, as she doesn't hear the death angels rampaging around her, and so it's up to her father to run and grab her before she's attacked too. He takes her to a nearby bar where a group of survivors take momentary shelter. However, no one knows how the angels hunt yet. They don't know that these monsters rely on echolocation, and as such they lure it direct.
I forgot they don't know that. See, what's that one thing called when the watcher or the reader has information that the people in the story don't? Gotta remember those things.
To them. One woman tries to call her mom on the phone, and another man starts praying to himself until Lee covers his mouth. Even so, the monsters had already been summoned, and is prowling outside the building trying to catch any sound that could lead him to his next prey. It is complete dead silence for a moment, as everyone is too afraid to even breathe. And this just so happens to be when that woman's mother calls her back. Mums, am I right, fellas? Always calling at the worst times. Nonetheless, the death angel pounces straight through the window and immediately starts tearing people to shreds, with Lee and Reagan barely able to get out of the building. As they run towards the rest of the family, they come across Ronnie once again, and he fires at the death angel with his shotgun. However, as these beings have indestructible armor, the bullets simply bounce off of them. All this is done is make a noise loud enough to draw the angel towards him, making him a sacrifice which gave the Abbott family just enough time.
Bro, look at him, bro. Or them. I don't want to assume the gender of these death angels. Bro, that dude is ugly, bro. My God.
To finally escape danger. But meanwhile, in New York City Center, it wasn't faring much better. The city was infested with death angels, with the whole place covered in smoke and debris from the meteor strike. Sam was knocked unconscious, and as she woke, a man with his family who saved her named Henry explains that she has to be quiet. They're all housed up inside a building in silence as helicopters fly above, ordering an evacuation. As this happens, the building begins to shake from top to bottom as a swarm of death angels run across, chasing the choppers. That night, the power was cut, causing a backup generator to loudly kick in. The nurse goes to turn it off and successfully does so, but is sent to an early grave by the sound of his shirt ripping on the generator as the nearby angel takes him away.
Oh my God? Hello?
early grave by the sound of his shirt ripping on the generator as the nearby
Oh wow. I know we were gonna be showing stuff like this on YouTube.
angel takes him away. In a desperate attempt to contain the alien invasion, the military bomb any and all bridges leading out of New York, seemingly leaving them for dead. The following day, Sam leaves and sets off on a journey determined to get her final slice of pizza before her...
Girl. Oh, I forgot. She is finna die anyway. Nah, that sounds bad. She is terminally ill, and terminally, like, you can't heal that. So, like, she ain't got nothing to lose. So she's just trying to get that pizza. I respect it.
Inevitable death. You see, due to her terminal cancer, she overcame the fear of death a long time ago. The only thing that scares her now is the fear of not living long enough to live out her childhood one last time. And so on her way to the Harlem pizzeria, she meets two young brothers, pointing them in the direction of the evacuation boat, which had appeared to the south, as it had become known that the angels couldn't swim. Sam, on the other hand, heads north through...
That's why they black.
People that fill the streets. Seriously, a group of like 1,000 people walking in unison was risky enough, but the fact that one guy was dragging a broken suitcase with him signed all of them to an early grave. Everyone begins to panic, making even more noise, which causes Sam to be separated from her pet cat, Rambo. She's able to get to safety, whilst Rambo appears to be the savior for an Englishman named Eric. He doesn't know where to go or what to do, so stricken with fear, he follows the cat back to Sam and decides to tag along. With the storm coming in, drowning out the sound of their voices, the two are able...
Man, the world ended, and he decided to follow a cat? My God.
To quietly talk to each other and explain their situation, resulting in them both going back to Sam's apartment for the night so that she could restock on medication, as her entire body felt like it was on fire. The following day, with the two now bonded and in this together, they head back out, but are chased by a group of death angels into a now flooded subway system from the night before. Whilst waddling through the water and towards a church, they encounter an angel asleep on the ceiling, which is swiftly woken up by Eric's panic attacks. Luckily, the water gets deeper the further they go, causing the angel to drown itself moments before reaching them. Unfortunately for Eric, though, his close encounters with
these niggas are menaces. They're drowning themselves trying to kill. Bro, there is no way. They are legit offing themselves trying to hurt you. Man, that's insane.
Had only just begun for the day, because whilst he leaves Sam in the church,
and plus, I ain't gonna lie, he gotta go. I'm not gonna lie, you gotta go. Talking about, I had a panic attack, so I screamed. Yeah, you gotta go, fam. I can't hang with you no more.
He heads out in search for more medication. He gets what he needs, however the cat goes on an adventure of its own, leading him to one of the meteor crash sites. Here, bits of the Death Angels planet's ecosystem have managed to survive. Both the cat and Eric climb up scaffolding to try and stay safe, but this attracts the attention ever so slightly of a huge queen Death Angel. She was feasting on the remnants of her planet, calling forth other angels nearby to do the same, as luckily Eric is able to wait it out and return to Sam. Knowing she's really running out of time, they push onto the pizzeria only to find it totally destroyed by the attacks. Nonetheless, Eric takes her to an old jazz bar that Sam's dad used to play piano at, where the two enjoy what would be their final human moments together, sharing a pizza that Eric had gotten from another restaurant.
What you mean final human moments together? They finna turn into a zombie? What? They finna turn into a death angel? What's finna happen?
Because whilst Eric helped Sam with her final wish, she returns the
Come on, bro! Stop!
Turns the favour and takes him to the boat, giving him her cardigan and cat before running off and making herself a martyr so that he could get to the water and to safety. The plan just about works with Henry.
He barely made that. I don't know.
Pulling Eric and Rambo on board whilst Sam returned home. She happily walks the streets of Harlem, listening to her favourite music as she relives her childhood one last time before unplugging the earphones, happily accepting that her time has come. However, whilst this nightmare may have ended for her, for the rest, it was only just beginning. 89 days later, on September 14th, and the world was silent. The human population had already been whittled down to a fraction of what it once was, as
So, I think that was, I see the trailer, I think that was Quiet Place Day 1. I think that's the whole lore of that movie. And I think the first Quiet Place movie, that not chronologically, the first Quiet Place movie is the one that we're going to talk about now. I think. So A Quiet Place Day 1 was the one he just talked about. Now I'm pretty sure we're finna do The Quiet Place, the first one. I think.
Missing persons flies
I remember seeing a scene of like a kid in like a little store, and they took the batteries out of his toy, and she was like, "No, that makes noise." And he slinkly got the batteries, and I think that's how he died.
Across the town. Things seem lifeless as cars sit motionless, buildings are abandoned, and not a single sound fills the streets. The Abbott family gathered provisions back at the same corner store where Lee had bought snacks before the baseball game, but in less than 3 months it had been devastated and left in ruin. Inside, the family walk barefoot on their tiptoes to avoid making a sound. Reagan is now wearing a cheap hearing aid, whilst Evelyn gathers medicine for the sick Marcus. However, Bo, the 4-year-old, finds an interest.
Telling me about 3 months after things go like this, the store still has this much stuff? I feel like it would have been ravaged, but okay.
In a toy rocket. As he reaches for it, he accidentally knocks it off the shelf as Lee just barely manages to slide in and catch it before alerting the angels. As the family prepares to leave, Bo once again returns with the rocket.
I ain't lie to you. This is gonna sound bad. Them kids gotta go. I can't do it, bro. You gotta go, bro. Can't do it, bro. You over here tipping over toys and stuff. I can't be watching you 24/7. I can barely not make noise myself. You gotta go, bruh.
Seeing it in his hand, Lee slowly reaches out and takes it from him, removing the batteries so it doesn't make any sound. Everyone leaves the store, but on the way out, Reagan sees that Bo is sad, so she gives him the toy back without its batteries. But unbeknownst to her, Bo picks them up on his way out of the building regardless. Yet it was another successful day of scavenging what they could to ensure their survival as a family. On the way home, Lee carries
My question is, why are you leaving the kid in the back? Next to the stuff you don't want him touching. You don't want him touching it, so you sit it down right next to him, and then you just walk away. He's a little kid, bruh. That's why he had to go.
Marcus, since he's not feeling well, followed by Evelyn, Reagan, and then Bo. The family makes it to a small wooden bridge in the middle of the forest as Bo's curiosity gets the better of him. He stops and puts the batteries back into the toy, causing a loud laser and siren sound to go off on loop. Realizing that their youngest son had just made himself a sitting duck, Lee puts Marcus down and sprints towards him. But in a flash, a death angel arrives and kills the child in a single swipe. It was the death that heavily affected the Abbott family as another full year passed, bringing us to day 472 since...
What?
Abbott family as another full year passed.
4 years?
Bringing us to day 472 since...
No, another full year. Okay. Wait.
So the...
Some ain't that... No. Wait. Oh, never mind. No, yeah, a full year, 1 year.
Invasion on October 3rd, 2021. Lee has transformed their basement into a surveillance shelter to watch the area for death angels while stockpiling up any and all information he could about the invaders. This includes newspapers explaining the aliens' super hearing, survival tips, and current events. We see that New York has been locked down, Mexico had been hit with the largest meteor, which had the force of a nuclear bomb, and religion has hit an all-time high. Meanwhile, Lee had also been looking into bulletproof plating and soundproofing for his home. As for what they have learnt about these creatures, they know that they are blind, attack sound, wear armor, and that there are at least 3 confirmed to be in the area. Even with just 3 though, because their hearing is so sensitive, the entire region is under constant surveillance. And if anything does make a sound...
What?
Make a sound, their insane speed can get the monsters there in seconds. Just having 1 angel in the area makes it so that anything that makes a noise will probably be killed, but with 3, it's almost a guarantee. But to give his family the best chance he can, Lee collected sighting data, made noise maps, marked danger zones, and regularly checked radio waves to see how other countries are managing through Morse code, with very little luck reaching anyone. When he's not trying to reach out to others on the radio though, Lee is either looking at a box of memories for his late son or trying to make better hearing aids for Reagan. At night he lights fires atop his home and looks out over the horizon to see the flames lit by the other few families that remain in the area. As for the rest of the Abbotts, Marcus has a bit of an anxiety problem but calms himself down by pretending...
Like, this drive me insane. How are they doing this, bro? I would be straight going insane. Like, what do you do in your free time? You don't, like, because everything's your free time now. You don't work. You don't got bills to pay. Money's irrelevant. So, like, you just got all this time just in your own place, but you can't make no noise. You just sitting there. Hey, I would just be asleep the whole time. No cap. I would just go to bed. Just sleep the nights away. That's all you can do.
To drive their truck, whilst Reagan still has nightmares about her brother's death, largely blaming herself for giving him the toy rocket. This is further complicated in how it has affected her relationship with Lee, who has trouble putting into words that he still loves her and doesn't blame her for what happened. But more importantly, Evelyn is once again pregnant, thus setting up sound.
What? You telling me throughout all this you're still doing it? Fam, you better just choke the chicken. Do something. Why are y'all still getting active? And how have y'all managed to stay quiet? What? Nah, that's insane. And plus, pregnant? During the quiet place? You pregnant? Oh, I can't believe what I'm hearing. I can't believe what I'm hearing. How have you made it? So you gonna make her push out a whole baby and make her the whole time? Lord.
With room for the upcoming baby. And listen, I don't care what you say, alright? This is at generational levels of down bad to get your wife pregnant in the midst of an alien invasion.
That's what I'm saying, bruh! What you mean she pregnant? What are you doing?
Where a single sound can be the difference between life and death. Nonetheless, they did what they could and made a soundproof box to carry the baby in, along with a system to provide them oxygen whilst locked inside. Kind of barbaric, but also the literal only way to ensure their cries won't summon the death angels. And so, that night, whilst playing Monopoly, Marcus accidentally knocks over an oil lantern which makes a loud crash. Whilst it is extremely tense, luckily none of the death angels show up to see what made the sound. Later, as Lee works on another new hearing aid for Reagan, he is joined by Evelyn and they share a set of earphones as they dance together whilst listening to Harvest Moon by Neil Young. They might be terrified, but at the very least, they are still very much in love. The next day on October 4th, Lee stops Reagan from going into the basement, as firstly, she won't be able to know if she makes any noise going down the steps, and secondly, all of the technology and radio systems set up down there would interfere with the hearing aid and cause her a lot of pain. He also tries to give her the new hearing aid he had completed the previous night, but she refuses to wear it, seemingly believing she doesn't deserve to hear after what she did to Bo.
Man, she would piss me off, bro. What you talking about? I don't deserve to hear. Brother, I know he dead and all, but bro, he dead. Life gotta go on, brother. Move on, bro.
At the same time, her deafness feels like a burden to her, believing it's making her family's life more difficult, something supplemented by Lee's refusal to let her help on things like working on the new hearing aid or going hunting. Speaking of, he and Marcus are just
Hey, how much money is he gonna make off of me, bro?
Are just about to go into the wild, with Marcus very nervous about leaving home, still rattled from watching Bo die a year ago. However, Evelyn reassures
I'm talking about her. I can't even watch it, and that's not even my brother, so
him and promises that he will be okay. However, when Lee refuses to let Reagan join them, she storms off to be alone, testing her new hearing aid and crying when it doesn't work, eventually deciding to visit her brother's gravesite. Meanwhile, her brother Marcus and her father are at the nearby river checking fish traps. When Lee drops one with a splash, Marcus freaks out and prepares to run and hide. However, Lee assures him that the river is loud enough that a small sound like that won't put them in any danger. Going one step further, Lee brings his son to a waterfall which is so loud that they can talk or even scream behind it. A freeing moment for Marcus, who is at first afraid of making any sound at all. Here, he's finally able to speak with his dad.
That would be cool, bruh. Like, imagine you can't talk the whole time, and all of a sudden, you just, oh, like, man, that's cool.
About Reagan, asking why she's not allowed to come and if he blames her for what happened, as she blames herself. Thus, if Lee still loves her, he needs to tell her that. Back at their home though, Evelyn is bringing some things up from the basement, but in doing so, her bag gets caught on a loose nail sticking out the steps. Rather than fixing this clear health and safety violation though, she makes her way to Bo's old bedroom to cry.
So you're telling me a nail comes up on the stairs and you just be like, I'm just gonna go chill. And a place where you cannot make no noise, a nail is sticking straight up on these stairs. And you was like, I'll mess with it later.
Alone. Meanwhile, Reagan sits at his grave. She bought wire cutters and the toy rocket that he died holding, cutting the sound system before turning on the lights for her brother one more time as she too sits alone to cry. Elsewhere, Lee and Marcus start heading home and come across a rundown building in the woods where they find an old man whose wife had just passed away after being attacked by a death angel. Wanting to join his wife, the man screams out, calling forth an angel, causing Lee and Marcus to leg it. As night begins to fall, Evelyn's water breaks. She works her way downstairs so that she can flip their outside lights to red and let her family know that she needs their help. However, on the way down, she steps on that.
I fucking knew it. You idiot! And bro, her foot is all the way down too. Bro.
Loose nail, causing her to grunt loudly and drop the glass picture frame that she's holding, making yet another loud noise.
And that's another hazard, bro. Now there's glass on the floor, bro. Look what you didn't cause, bro. My God, Evelyn, or whatever your name is.
Time she makes it back to the stairs after turning on the lights, a death angel has already made it into the home and is looking for her. She begins searching the basement for anything to distract the monster, trying her best to disguise the agony she's in thanks to the pain in her foot and her contractions, ultimately finding an egg timer. Lee and Marcus finally arrive back at their farm and see the red lights. Thus, Lee tells his son to stay hidden and set off fireworks as a distraction. As he does, Lee rushes home to find his wife, but by now the angel is already in the basement with her. Another contraction crashes down on her as she holds in her voice, as luckily the egg timer is just loud enough to draw away the monster's attention. As it attacks the alarm, she makes her way upstairs, only to find that a second angel is prowling the property. Evelyn reaches the bathroom and
y'all got two of them in there. I ain't gonna lie to you, you're cooked. I feel like I'm actually watching the movie now. I'm into this.
Into the tub, doing everything she can to hold off from having her baby right then and there. Inside his barn, Lee grabs a shotgun as...
Hey, y'all think holding in the baby's the same thing like holding in your poop?
Evelyn screams in pain just in time for Marcus's fireworks to go off in the distance, luring the angels away. It was a crisis just barely averted, as inside luring the angels away.
How is the fireworks over the grass? Who edited this, bruh? Hey, whoever made The Quiet Place, your editors got some work to do, bruh. The fireworks is going over the grass in this shot. What's going on?
Way. It was a crisis just barely averted, as inside Lee and his wife welcome their newborn child to this hellhole of a planet. They aren't quite in the clear yet though, as Marcus and Reagan are still out there
making out. Bro, these niggas are too horny, bro. My God, bro. Y'all having a baby, y'all making out, and there's killers in your house. My God.
With the death angels, and now they have a crying baby to deal with. And so Lee takes his wife and newborn into the soundproofed basement as an angel prowls above them. They place the child in his box with an oxygen mask, and seemingly the three of them are safe for the moment. Evelyn sleeps for a bit, but when she wakes up, she makes Lee promise to save their kids no matter what. Outside, an angel is sneaking up behind Reagan, however their hearing frequency is the same as her hearing aid, and so the loud, high-pitched noise forces the alien away. Shortly after, she and her brother finally meet up, as Lee leaves the soundproofed room to search for them. Luckily, he raised some pretty smart kids, as they light the signal fire that he sets every night atop the silo, which allows Lee to see them on his surveillance cameras. Unfortunately, in the angel's attack at the house though, a pipe was burst, with water slowly flooding the room above where Evelyn and the baby are hiding. She had again fallen asleep, and by the time she woke up, the water was waist high, with an angel accompanying her. I tell you what, you'd be screwed if you snored, wouldn't you? Nonetheless, Evelyn slowly crosses the water to try and get to her baby first, but the angel dives under and meets her there at the same time. Evelyn picks up the newborn and holds it close, but with each coo the baby makes, the angel leans in closer, forcing them to hide under a flowing stream of water. spite of this, it can only distract the angel so much. However, her salvation comes in the form of her other children's danger, as outside Marcus falls through the silo roof, alerting the angel in front of Evelyn, who goes to check things out. Meanwhile, Marcus is presenting me with a new lifelong fear as he slowly sinks into the corn and nearly drowns, only being saved by the hatched door which had broken under him and is floating atop the corn. Meanwhile, Reagan jumps in after Marcus to try and save him, but is hit with an Uno reverse as she actually sinks into the corn, until Marcus saves her, that is. Nearly drowning turns out to be a pretty loud event though, as the Death Angel bursts through the ceiling. With a single sheet of metal barely separating man from monster, Reagan's hearing aid once again comes in clutch, scaring off the angel, who runs through the silo wall, giving the kids an escape of their own. Finally, they meet up with Lee, and it's about to be a happy ending. But out of the darkness, the sound of an angel's clicking emerges. Lee tries to guide his kids into the truck to hide as he picks up an axe and prepares to defend them. However, an angel catches him by surprise, leading Marcus to scream.
Is he stupid?
Axe and prepares to defend them. However, an angel catches him by surprise, leading Marcus to scream out for his father in fear. As the angel approaches the children, Reagan's hearing aid once again goes off, but not understanding the connection to the monster's pain, she turns it off to avoid her own. As a result, the Death Angel has free reign to attack them. In an attempt to protect his kids and keep his promise with his wife, Lee forces himself to his feet and screams out to call the Death Angel away from them. Knowing his time is up, Lee signs to his children that he loves them with all his heart. To ensure his father's sacrifice wasn't for nothing though, Marcus lets the handbrake go on the truck as it slides down the hill towards their home. They quickly meet back up with their mother and all embrace in sadness over Lee's death. But even now, the angels aren't far behind. Thus, everyone gathers in the basement with Lee's shotgun as Reagan is amazed to see all her father had put together to protect their family. All the research, the cameras, and of course, the dozen or so attempts at making better hearing aids. It's a very, very sweet moment, interrupted by a very, very frightening visitor. However, as the angel approaches, TVs go haywire and start emitting a static signal, allowing Reagan to connect the dots between her hearing aid's malfunctions and the monster's weakness. As a result, she weaponizes it by holding the hearing aid against a microphone and crippling the angel with its high frequency. As it freezes in pain, its head opens and exposes its pink, gooey interior. And so, with its armor now spread apart, Evelyn is able to take the shot and finally kill a Death Angel. The sound of the shotgun calls it.
Oh! So bad frequencies causes ears to tweak out, face open up, and that's just vulnerable. That's just meat right there. You shoot the meat.
The two other angels, however, with the family now knowing their weakness, they simply smile as they boost the signal and prepare to fight. The following day, the surviving family members leave their home to find their barn is on fire as Evelyn heads back inside to get the baby's box and oxygen tank. Meanwhile, Reagan heads back to the basement where she picks up.
How come they didn't kill the rest of the dirt? If there's 3 in the area, well, confirmed. Pack them up. Let's do it. Hey, lure them all here. I'm banging on every wall. Microphone. Hearing aid. Pow, bro, you're dead.
And connects it to a microphone as a weapon to use against the angels. She also grabs her father's map and sets the signal fire so that she can see who is still alive in the surrounding areas. Luckily, she spots a fire over a nearby mountain, and so the family set off to join with the other survivors. On October 6th, they finally reach their destination, a worn-down rail yard that's been overrun by nature. However, as soon as they cross into the property, Evelyn sets off a booby trap which deploys glass bottles that alert nearby angels. In a panic, they try to run as Marcus's foot gets stuck in a bear trap and
Wait, why are they adventuring? Did I miss something?
understandably, he screams out in pain. This then dominoes into the $5 into the baby beginning to cry, and so if the bottles hadn't alerted the angels, they were certainly heading their way by now. However, Reagan sets up the amp and blasts it with high frequencies, providing Evelyn with the chance to kill it. The rest of the family hobble into a nearby warehouse as a second angel begins its search for them. Inside, they meet a masked man who helped carry Marcus to safety. sealing himself and the Abbott family inside a locked, soundproof vault. Importantly, this vault is able to be opened from the inside thanks to a rag stopping the lock from fully sealing on the outside. Nonetheless, the man tells the Abbotts that they don't have enough food or water here for them to stay. But soon Evelyn recognizes that this man is Emmett, and once she shows him her baby, he has a change of heart. By the time an alarm goes off, warning that the air in the vault was about to run out, the angel has left and everyone can emerge safely. Emmett and Evelyn talk for a moment about how the audio feedback paralyzes the angels and how it's the first time he's actually seen one of these killed, before then talking about his family. His sons died on the first day, and his wife, Nora, died 11 weeks ago due to illness. She then asks if Emmett knew it was Lee's flame in the distance all this time, which he did, but explains he never travelled to them because people have changed since the world went quiet. Meanwhile, Marcus is laid down on a table for his wounds to be treated to as Reagan puts headphones on him. Suddenly, Beyond the Sea starts playing, with Emmett explaining that it's been like that for the past 4 months. He thinks nothing of it, as there's nothing left out there to help them. However, Reagan is convinced that it must be a message, and that they would have to travel beyond the sea in order to find it. That night, Reagan wakes Marcus up and brings him to the vault.
Man, who Riddler ass is in charge of these messages, bruh? They're playing beyond the sea. That means we have to travel beyond the sea to find it. Man, get on somewhere, bro. I need some clear and concise messages, bro. I ain't trying to solve your riddle.
But she tells him she wants to go search for help or to see if there are other survivors. She looked up the radio station and found that it was coming from an island offshore, and so she is convinced that there are people out there waiting to be found. However, her brother tries to convince Reagan to stay because it would be too dangerous. In spite of this, the following morning, Marcus finds a note from his sister to tell him to keep listening. Therefore, he tells his mother that he has reason to think that Reagan has ran away to follow her plan. Hearing this, but not wanting to leave the others unprotected, Evelyn begs Emmett to bring her back. On her journey, Reagan ends up following train tracks and a broken down cart filled with dead bodies. Inside, she grabs a first aid kit, but as she does, a body...
Hey, she's a warrior. A what?
Broken down cart filled with dead bodies. Inside, she grabs a first aid kit, but as she does, a body falls, scaring her into screaming and accidentally summoning a death angel towards her. She fights back using her speaker, but fails to land the finishing blow. Luckily for her though, Emmett arrives at the final second to kill the angel. As always though, when you kill one with a gun, another isn't too far behind. Knowing this, Reagan and Emmett run to the station and hide as he tries to get her to return to her family. However, instead, she convinces him to join her in searching for the people beyond.
Yo, why is this girl so powerful? This little deaf girl got some guts, and I gotta respect it at this point. I was hating on her, but hey, I gotta give her credit.
The sea. Back at the warehouse, the baby's oxygen supply begins to run out. Thus, Evelyn decides to head for the nearby pharmacy for more, leaving Marcus to watch over the baby. Whilst she's out, Evelyn visits Beau's grave and leaves her wedding ring on the headstone so that Lee can rest with their son, before heading back to the vault with some medicine and 2 more tanks of air. Meanwhile, as Marcus watches the baby, he feels the urge to explore the warehouse. So, he puts the kid inside of his box, unaware that he was nearly out of oxygen. Whilst being nosy though, Marcus finds Emmett's room and all the drawings of his late family before stumbling upon the rotting corpse of Nora as well, scaring him and attracting the attention of an angel.
Oh man, these kids, why these kids, see, this is why I'm telling you, them kids gotta go, they gotta go, bro. What are you doing, bro? Just sit down somewhere and just watch the kid. That's all you had to do.
Thus, he picks up his brother and locks them inside the vault with a radio. However, in his panic, Marcus closes the door on themselves without a stop for the lock, meaning he and his baby brother are locked inside with air running out with each breath. It's about this time that Evelyn returns to the warehouse, rushing in to protect her son, but can't find a way down since the angel destroyed the ladder. So instead, Evelyn shoots a leaking gas pipe, which causes an explosion under the angel. However, these aliens survived an exploding planet, so this was never gonna stop them. But what it does do is set the sprinklers off, with the sound loud enough to distract the angel, allowing Evelyn to make it to the basement and save her kids. Meanwhile, Reagan wakes up without her hearing aid and amp, convinced that Emmett stole her only way of fighting the angels, and so she breaks down in tears until he returns and tells her that he's found a boat. That night they check it out, where they find a young girl shaking and alone. As Emmett goes in to comfort her, the girl wraps a noose around his neck, inciting an ambush. As he said, people have changed since the world went quiet. They grab
Run Windows on Mac and open a world with no limits.
They grab Reagan and take her.
Am I tweaking? Who is coaching a little baby to be like, hey, just wait till somebody walk up, throw a noose around his neck, pull it? Who coached this little...
hearing aid, but remembering back to the baseball game a year ago, Emmett signs for her to dive into the water. The confusion this causes gives him the opportunity to grab the leader of the men, drawing out another angel, giving Emmett the opportunity to dive into the water himself. As the angel then dives in after him, we discover a second weakness. Their bodies are so dense because of the armor that they can't swim. Thus, the monster simply sinks to the bottom of the ocean, but not before a second arrives and jumps aboard a drifting boat. Luckily, Reagan is able to reach Emmett in a boat of her own, as the two finally reach the island broadcasting the song. And since the angels can't cross the water, the community here were living peaceful, loud lives, free of fear. The people on this island welcome Emmett and Regan openly, as Henry explains how when it was discovered the angels couldn't swim, the National Guard had set up boats to sail off to islands where people could start new lives. But these gatherings of people drew in the angels, and rather than a ship to salvation...
Yo, why are they showing a scene from Piranhas, bro? This is from Piranhas, right?
These became hunting grounds for the monsters, quickly slaughtering everyone in sight. Of all the ships which had been set up to leave, only 2 made it out of the dock. Nonetheless, Emmett apologizes for doubting Regan as he walks along the beach looking at a drawing of his late wife. But
so, what about these other 2? What about the mom, Evelyn, Marcus, and the baby? And are we gonna keep calling the baby? What's the baby's name, man?
his peaceful morning is interrupted by the sound of a loud crash at the edge of the shore. As he goes in to see what caused the sound, he finds the torn up boat the Death Angel jumped on the day before. Realizing that it was now loose on this island, Emmett rushes back to warn the town, but he was too late. Emmett, Regan and Henry try to lure the monster away in a car towards the radio broadcast center. However, upon arriving, they realize that everything's gone quiet. Worried for his family, Henry says that they should go back, but is instead dragged under the door and to his death. At this moment, both groups are cornered by angels. Evelyn and her kids are trapped inside the vault, whilst Emmett and Regan try to make their way into the broadcast room before the angel, as Emmett attempts to sacrifice himself, getting his legs sliced in the process. As both groups teeter on the edge of life and death, Regan turns on her hearing aid, which causes feedback to play over the studio speakers, creating an opportunity to save Emmett. Following this, she then changes the broadcast of Beyond the Sea to instead play the ear-piercing feedback over the speakers. And because Marcus had been listening for his sister's signal on the radio this whole time, just as she asked, he unplugs the headphones and uses the speaker as a weapon to push back the Death Angel. With
3,000 IQ!
Paralyzed by the sounds, Marcus in the head as his sister bludgeons the other with a pipe. With the island now free once again from the danger of the Death Angel, Evelyn and her two sons must make their way there, as A Quiet Place Part 3 promises to mark the end of the Abbott family's desperate attempt at survival. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then you're probably...
Cinema! Absolute cinema! I'm tuned in, I'm watching these movies, I'm watching... Should I watch it in order, or should I watch it in the order of the release date? Should I watch it chronologically, or like what time they came out in real life? Y'all let me know. But man, I am intrigued and I'm excited for that third movie now. This makes me understand the lore very well. Hey man, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what other things you want me to check out. I really enjoyed this. Hey, if there's anything else like Finance at Freddy's, I can check that out. There's so many things I want to check out. Let me know. This was Jackson, and I'm out. Off, and peace.